Hey guys, and welcome back to another Chatorial in Jewellery box where we are going to carry on with our Peacocks and our nameplate page. Just before I get started, I did promise that I would show the mop brushes that I bought. In a previous video I had mentioned that I had a bit of a mishap when purchasing brushes, as I am a complete noob when it comes to watercolour painting. So this was the brush that I was looking for. So there's my hand for scale. I do have quite small hands. And that was what I was looking for, and that was the brush that I ended up buying, and it's perfect for what I want it for. However, the first time I bought a brush I grossly misjudged, and this is what I ended up with. Oh my goodness, look at the size of that. So you can see why number one, it tickled me, but secondly it was absolutely no use for what I was needing it for. Anyway, I have this great big brush, and if I decide to do massive watercolours, I'm covered. As per tradition as well, I have Pip here in the cave with me, and she has found possibly the noisiest toy that she can to play with. So if you hear the slight noises in the background, it's just her rumbling about on the floor. She's rolling about on her back just now. She's having fun. Okay, let's crack on. So here we are in your absence, and as promised I did colour in my second peacock. So today I have got a sheet, it's just tracing paper, just cheap tracing paper, and it's just to pop under my hand so that I don't smudge everything underneath, because we are using Prismacolor pencils, which are renowned because of their softness for smearing quite a bit, and we don't want any of that. So today what we're going to start working on is this part of the sort of border, if you'd like to call it that, and this gemstone down here, and we'll see how we go time wise, and I may start some of the acrylic black paint around the outside and just sort of chat away the way that I do, have a bit of a ramble, you know. So the colours that we're going to use, I've started with a set of purples, and we're going to use these for this sort of border part. So again, as is tradition with me, I've picked out a light, a mid and a dark tone. So for those of you that are following along, that is Parma Violet, which is PC1008. I have Plain Old Violet, which is PC932, and I also have the Dioxazine Purple Hue, which is PC132. Pip, do you think you could pipe down a bit, please? Getting the accusatory look. It's really, really annoying. Every time I film a video, the dogs come in and start doing something noisy. They never just like lie down and sleep. Right, that's it. Good girl, you lie down. Alright, so we're sharpened up and we're kind of good to go. So I'm just starting at this furthest away point, which is this section here. Now, bearing in mind our light source is coming from this direction, I do want to take that into consideration. However, this part is mostly covered by our peacock. It would be blocking the light, so we're going to keep this section quite dark. So all I want to do is put one light layer of the Parma Violet down, which is our lightest colour. So I'm just going to start doing that just now. Yeah, the other story that I never got around to telling you guys last time we were chatting away was about my sketchbooks. I'm coming to the end of my sketchbook. I've only got about 3 or 4 pages left in it, and I do have a plethora of blank sketchbooks that are kind of ready to use, but I have been told that one of the ones I like to use is a Derwent graphic hardback sketchbook, and it takes markers really well as pencil. The only thing I don't like about them is they have a pattern. Every like sort of maybe 10 or 20 pages there's a cluster of patterned paper, and it's like dotted paper that you would find in bullet journals, and there's some bits with triangles and one thing and another, and it makes it feel more like a journal. Right, we're going to the mid-tone colour, which is the normal violet, and it kind of puts me off using another one. So someone had suggested to me that the ELO sketchbooks are the same sort of idea, but minus this sort of patterned paper. So I was really curious to try one, and it was Rin from Drawing with Waffles. She uses them all the time, and I think she's made them quite popular, and they're actually sold out, and you can only get them in America, and to ship them over to the UK it's an absolute fortune. I'm just going over everything I've done with that violet with a very, very light layer of this violet, sorry, Parma Violet was the first layer. So I couldn't get hold of one at all, and they didn't even have any on their own website. They had actually sold out. So I kind of sat on it for a wee while, which is how I've ended up in this predicament of I am at the end of my sketchbook and I don't know whether to go and start another one of the Derwent ones because I do have one spare. So we're going to start darkening up here, here and here at the points of contact with the peacock with the violet. And it turns out that my friend was taking a trip to the States. And I thought, well, that's not going to be much use to me anyway because they are still out of stock. And I got an email from them to say that they were taking pre-orders for their next batch, which was just amazing. So as it transpires, I am having 2 ELO sketchbooks delivered to me probably in the next 2 weeks via my friend who has had them delivered to her friend in the States, and she's bringing them back over in her suitcase for me. So I will get there. So I'm now at this stage where I'm trying not to draw in my sketchbook just so that it lasts until the new ones arrive. So that's where we're at with that. It's quite funny. So I'm going to leave a pale patch of the Parma violet in the middle. So I'm just going to work up this violet to roughly that area, because I think that maybe it'll get a little bit of light past our peacock friend here. So I'm quite excited to try them. I did get a double pack in case I like them, and it won't put me in a predicament in another 6 months or so. But if I decide I don't like the paper in them or whatever, I'll have no problems in selling it to get rid of it. So I'm really hoping that ELO sort of up their game in the next little while and really get a grip on their international shipping, because it's what they tell you to do is to buy a 5-pack to make the shipping worth your while. Now a 5-pack of their sketchbooks is like nearly $80 I think, but they want $58 in shipping fees, and I was like, I don't care how many sketchbooks are in there, I can't justify paying that for something that I don't even know if I'm going to like or not. So hopefully that price will come down as they find, you know, alternative outlets, maybe find a UK retailer or something like that. That would be cool. But in the meantime, I'll try them out. I'm going to do a video on my sketchbooks and my sketchbook setup once they arrive. So if you're a person who likes to doodle, then you can look forward to that video in the not too distant future. So yeah, that's my ELO sketchbook story. Okay, that's the dioxazine now, and I'm just starting to darken down. For those of you that joined me in the colour along in one of Kirby Rosanna's books when we did the 2 fish on the double page, you will know that the dioxazine purple is a very, very dark purple. So we are going to use it sparingly, but we're really going to use it to darken down these innermost points. So that's going to look quite nice next to the colours of this peacock. And then we're just going to start blending them out with the violet. And into this little Parma violet patch in the middle. Don't have to be too careful about going outside the lines here, because this whole section is going to be done in black paint. So that's going to look okay. Jack Russell flapping her ears as per. I don't know if it's like a full moon or something today, but everybody's being weird. I don't feel great. I feel quite crappy today. From a mental health perspective, I'm just not right at all, and there's no particular reason for it. I'm just not feeling good, but the dogs are really unsettled today as well, which is kind of strange. For those of you that are following along, I need you to stop colouring right now. In this next purple section, I've made a mistake in terms of the light source and where it comes from, and I go back and I fix it later on in the video. Naturally, I don't want you guys to make the same mistake, so just watch the next part and you can catch up later on. So we'll move up here, and I'm kind of just treating this page as if it's split in half, so I'm going to do this right hand half first. So I'm back to my Parma violet, and I'm just going to pop this down all over this section here. Yeah, for me, the month of February in particular, if at any point during the year I'm going to struggle with my mental health, it seems to be February. And that has been the case. It's not been too bad this year, but I've not been great, and I'm just feeling like, I just feel really deflated and sort of out of sorts just now. And it's something I've dealt with for a long time. And I do have a lot of coping mechanisms in place for when I feel like this. So it's not disastrous or life-threatening or anything like it, but it's just doesn't make you feel too great. But that's why having a bit of a colour and a bit of a chat, it makes me feel good. It, you know, it makes me feel better. So this is a good thing today. I'm just trying to get a light layer of this down without making too much of a mess round about. Right, so now we can think a bit more about light sources in this section, because this is going to be getting a considerable amount of light. So the dark spots are going to be here where this crosses over. So again, I'm going to my mid colour again, which is the violet. I'm going to start mapping in those areas where there's going to be a bit of shadow. So these two sections here are the prime suspects, like this. I do also have sitting in the wings here my farm video. It's actually rendering just now, so that'll be up in probably around the same time as this video, so you can watch out for that if that's something that you're interested in. So the right hand side of these sections are also going to be a bit darker because they are the opposite side to where our light source is coming from, and it's up to you how much you exaggerate that or accentuate it. That's entirely up to you. I'm not going to do a huge amount. I'd like to keep it quite light because it's going to be black behind it. I don't want to make it too obvious, if you like. Maybe bring a bit down here as well. My stomach's rumbling as well. I don't know what that's all about. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the Parma Violet now, and I'm just going to blend some of this out and see how it looks. I'm still keeping my hand really light though, I'm not doing anything. I'm not pressing very hard at all. And it's just so that I can build the layers up if I want to, which I think I might want to do. Okay, you can see that my violet's kind of melted in there. We'll zoom in a little bit as well, you can see a bit better. Yeah, you can only see it very slightly. That's maybe a bit too much zoom. There we go, I'll go with that. So I've got the dioxazine here, and I'm going to pop some of that down as well, and just start sort of building up that gradient in these darker areas. When I'm putting the darkest colour in, I do tend to press quite hard, and then I just kind of like work it out from there. So that's back to the violet now, and then back to the Parma Violet. Yeah, that looks better. Bit happier with that now. So I wanted it to be subtle. I don't want any sort of like really harsh areas. So I'm just going to jump between the three pencils now and just sort of tweak it if you like. The other thing that you can do, and that I may do, is in these darkest areas when it meets the black paint, I may just put in a little line of white gel pen so that it's still quite well defined from the black background, because there are other white patches in the picture, so that would tie in quite nicely. So we'll maybe try that. That'd be good. Back to my Parma Violet here. Just build some of this up to this section too. I do want to keep this quite light. It'll look good quite light. I haven't been doing a huge amount of colouring. I kind of burnt myself out a little bit recently with my Johanna Basford wood carving type page, and it's kind of put me off colouring a little bit. But I have been doing a lot of painting and a reasonable amount of drawing. So I haven't really done anything particularly exciting in terms of adult colouring. I'm going to leave it another week or so before I go back to Johanna Basford. But that's okay. I am still determined on finishing Enchanted Forest this year. That is happening. Definitely happening. Let me just bring this down here now. We have, on the farm now, we have 9 cows left to calve, and Agnes, who will be starring in the upcoming video, she's one of them. And I was kind of like half holding off to see if she would have her calf, because she's one of these cows that's friendly, and I would have been able to go in and film her with her baby and go and pet her baby. But she's hanging on. She's just not for giving up her baby bump yet. I keep talking to her and I'm saying, come on Agnes, I've got a video to film. Everybody wants to see your baby, come on. She's not listening to me though. There we go. I've also got plans for another 3D pen video. I do have everything ready for Papa Jem coming. He will be coming in the next 2 weeks. So I have had my 3D pen out, and I wanted to make something really big. You know, I wanted to do something quite ambitious, and I have decided what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start gathering the materials together for that, and it's going to be big. And I don't mean big as in sensational, I mean big as in physically big. I decided just to go for it. You guys know me, I like to just chuck myself in and make it up as I go along. Doesn't always work out, but that's half the fun. Right, so I'm just gonna, I'm actually going to do this entire section here just because it's a good place to stop. I know it's over what we're talking about working on the right hand side, but it doesn't make any sense to stop mid-section, if you catch my drift. So that is what we're going to do. Again, this is just the lightest violet, which is the Parma violet, and I'm just going to sort of chuck down a layer of that here. And then start working on the shadow areas. One of the things with my colouring now is I had set myself a task initially to colour at least one page in every colouring book that I own, and as it stands right now I am on that last page, and it's one of my Bennett Klein books that I hadn't done anything in. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, when I've completed this, it's like, what now? Because I then have the option to colour in everything and anything, and it's kind of left me adrift a little bit, so I have no idea where I'm going to go next. I will still be working away in Enchanted Forest, but I tend to have, you know, a work in progress in that book at all times, but I always have something else on the go as well, aside from whatever I'm colouring for the channel. So I don't know what to do. It's like an embarrassment of riches. I'm kind of getting pulled towards doing something in one of Kirby Roseanne's books. However, I am going to be doing one of his nameplate pages after I've finished this one. So I don't think I want to colour something in one of his colouring books just now. And I'm kind of getting drawn back to Ivy and the Inky Butterfly, so I might do a page in there. But it's such a strange feeling because as I say, I've been working on this, you know, colouring in every book, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, what now? I don't have any direction, I don't have any guidance. I like to have guidance. Guidance is helpful. So we'll see how that goes, but it's kind of nice to just be able to go on a whim as well. So we'll see what happens with that, see how that turns out. I'll just join all this up now. And this is just back to the Parma violet. I'm going to pop a bit of dioxazine down just on this underside to give it a bit more of a sort of curvature effect. And the same one here, but just a tiny little sliver, just medium pressure as well. Nothing crazy. I'd also like to say hello to our new subscribers, for those of you that watch the colouring videos. Hello. It's nice to have you. It's nice that y'all are here. I know everybody doesn't watch these videos, but I would say that these Chatorial videos are more the ones where I tend to talk about myself, and it's, you know, it's a bit more personable. And I realise that the people that watch my art videos and aren't into adult colouring, they kind of miss out on all that. So I may do like a draw and chat as well. Eventually, at some point, and amongst everything else. It's just, I get all these little ideas floating about in my head, but people seem to like me just rambling away, which I find hilarious, but you know, I know y'all seem to like it, so why not? I am very aware now that there is no noises coming from my puppy, so she must have, yeah, she must have settled down somewhere, thankfully. Finally. Yeah, today's been a bit crazy at the farm. It's just one of those days where there's loads of things happening and it's just all kind of happened at once. So I'm really glad to be finished with it today. Especially in a day like today when I'm not really feeling the love anyway. It's like, yeah, I could do without all this today. I really could. We're in the advantageous position now where staying in the northeast of Scotland, when we get to early spring, we start to get a lot more light. In the winter, where we lose all our light and our days are very short, in the summer we are the opposite. And in the late afternoons now, I have the daylight for a lot longer, which allows me to sit and make videos without being pressed for time. Now, most of you know I like to work in natural light for as long as possible, so that's quite nice because I can do things like this at a much more leisurely pace, which is grand. Okay, let's have a little zoom out now, have a little sharpen. There we go, it's looking quite cute. Alright, for these flowers up here, I have picked out a selection of pinks. So I have, I'm chucking things away already, I have Deco Pink, which is 1014, Hot Pink, which is PC993, and also the Process Red, which isn't red at all, it's pink, and that is PC994. So those are the three colours I'm going to be using for the petals on these little flowers. I haven't decided about the part in the middle yet, but I'm just going to leave that and go with this for the time being. So we'll get zoomed in again. Move this over so that we're in shot. See, height of professionalism. As always, lightest colour first, which is the Deco Pink. And I'm just going to pop down a little layer of that. This is a really delicate colour. I really like it and it's so pretty. And it's going to stand out really well against the black background as well, which is one of the reasons why I've picked it. It's not a colour I use terribly often. I'm not really into pinks. So I want to just get a gradient across all of these petals and I want it darkest down at the base. So I'm going in with my mid-tone. And just with a light hand, I'm very gradually gradiating. So I'm letting up the pressure as I get closer to the tip of the petal. And again, it's a technique I use all the time. And with the Process Red, I just want a really dark patch in at the bottom there. And I'm going to make it really small because these petals are small. So that just gives us a nice pop of colour there. And then using this Hot Pink, I'm going to drag that out and blend it into the Deco Pink. So that Hot Pink is going to come further up. Probably to about there, letting up the pressure as I get to the tip, and then I'm just going to go back in with this Deco Pink and blend that all in so it's nice and smooth. Where's my little brush? I have to say it's very uncharacteristic, but the cave is a bit of a chaotic bomb site today. Again, funny, it kind of reflects my mental state today, just, you know, not feeling my normal self. The cave does not look like its normal self either. There is just stuff everywhere. I got some really nice, very expensive watercolour paper for my birthday from my mama. And she gave it to me. It was a surprise. I wasn't expecting it at all. So I was kind of playing with that earlier on today. So I've got a lot of watercolour stuff lying about. I'm just going to repeat the same process with all of these other petals now. Yeah, so I was playing with that earlier on and I still have my own work stuff sort of floating about as well. If and when we move, that's something, if I have the space to do it, I'm going to try and have a separate desk, or at least a desk with two parts, you know, like maybe an L-shaped desk or a U-shaped desk, so that I can separate my work area from my arting area. That is something that I'd really like to do. But I say it's very much a space dependent thing. I mean, the cave here is a pretty good size. It's probably one of the biggest rooms I've had anyway up till now, so getting a bigger room again is probably not going to be likely, but it will be set up differently because I do use this room as well sometimes, not very often, but sometimes it doubles up as another guest room. We have a guest bedroom, but sometimes I use it as an extra room because the sofa bed that the dogs like to lie on is that exactly that. It's a sofa bed. It folds out into a double bed so I can accommodate more guests. So that would be changing if we moved again. I wouldn't be having that in my colour cave. So it's funny how these little things just pop into your head and you start to think about them. But I'm just thinking more from a workspace perspective, because as I say, this desk, and I love this desk as well, but it is a shared workspace for my job, as well as doing all the cave stuff for you guys, and also cave stuff just on my own. I do think I've probably made the best of the space that I've got, but I think that's just because I'm organised and I'm quite a tidy person. Everything has a place. There's nothing sort of crammed in anywhere, or, you know, it's not as if I can't find things or I'm really struggle for space. It's just more a practicality point of view, because when I'm working in my day job, I work with 2 laptops side by side, so that in itself takes up quite a lot of room. I'm just going to pop this process red in here. Get that nice and dark in there too. Yeah, so 2 laptops take up a considerable amount of space, as you can imagine, and I still have to have a writing surface in between that as well. So I don't know how feasible it would be to have a sort of dual desk set up, but I suppose we could manage it. I'd have to plan it out properly. Okay, put some hot pink in here. Oh, these look pretty. They actually look really nice. I'll zoom out and let you see. They look really nice next to the turquoises and blues of the peacock. I think that was quite a good choice. I'll look better once I've got them all done, but that'll give you an idea of where we're going. I really like this process red colour. I'm not really a pink person, but it seems to sort of jive well with most of the other kind of vibrant colours in the Prismacolor set. And I do find myself using it a reasonable amount, considering, as I say, I'm not really a pink person. Right. I'll just let you see that a little bit. Yeah, we're looking good. So let's just carry on with these. We'll work our way across. I'll do all of these together, so I'll do all my deco pinking first. It's all good. So in terms of what's going on here, it's actually quite a quiet week for me. And when I say quiet, I mean that there's nothing out of the ordinary happening. We're very much having a normal week this week here at the cave, which is nice for a change. And we have a new employee starting at the farm as well, which means I won't have to do as much work outside, which pleases me no end, because I really am. I don't have a lot of hours in the day, and I certainly don't have a lot of time to myself. I really have to like push things to make time for myself. So it'll be really nice to get that back again and just only have to worry about my own work and not juggle that. The downside to it is you kind of miss out on a lot of stuff, but I mean, I can still go out and help anytime I want, and I'll still when it comes to things like lambing, I'm involved whether I like it or not, because it's just a super busy time. So, but on a day-to-day basis, it's going to be nice to not have to like jump between things so often, you know, between my own work, between the farm, between videos, and doing all the usual sort of housey crap and looking after the dogs and one thing and another. So I'm quite looking forward to that. So that's good. Get my process red in. Process, I'm going to call it process not red. So do that. This is looking quite nice. I also had the best fun with this month's scroller box challenge, the scroller challenge. I absolutely loved the supplies in this month's box, and it's the first time in a while that I've genuinely absolutely loved it. and I had such good fun with it. And I've already used the supplies in another piece of artwork, and I've literally only just finished filming the scroller challenge video, so that's kind of cool. I had good fun with that. Same, Mama Bear was here at the weekend. It was my birthday. It's now midweek, FYI. And my mother does not have an artistic bone in her body. she really doesn't. And even she had a play about with the supplies and had a bit of fun and made herself a little picture, which was really nice. I also gave my grandmother her watercolour painting that I did. I painted some little baby tea roses in a mug because that's her favourite flower. And when someone is 96, it's kind of difficult to buy them gifts because she doesn't go out much anymore, and she has kind of like everything that she needs. It is really, really difficult. And so I just painted her a picture and she loved it. So that was really nice as well. I was really pleased about that. So yeah, painting ahoy. I still can't say I find it any more relaxing, but I seem to be becoming slightly more proficient than my initial efforts. These petals here, I think, are the back of the petals, if that makes sense. If these were the front, this is like the underside. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to bring the Process Red much further up. I'll just show you what I mean in a second once I've got this Deco Peach down. Yeah, I'm going to start with the Process Red rather than the hot pink, and I'm going to follow this vein and I'm going to bring that pink right up like this, because I just feel as if it would show more on the underside. I don't know why, but I just do, and that's the way we're playing this game. And maybe this one too. I don't know whether that's the front or the back of this one, but I'm going to make it the back. Or the underside's probably a better description. And then I'm just going to blend it out with my hot pink. And this is one of the really great things about Prismacolors. You can totally get away with doing stuff like this. And there we go. So we've got a bit more vibrancy and a bit of a deeper colour. And then just use the Deco Pink. I keep going to say Deco Peach. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I have a psychological issue with that, but I seem to. It's a bit like the leaves and petals thing. I do that a lot, don't I? I always say leaves when I mean petals. I maintain though that comes from working in Johanna Basford's Enchanted Forest for like ever. I was looking back actually at it, and I started that book in March of 2016. So this is my 3rd year in Enchanted Forest, and I'm still not finished it. So yeah, that's kind of like bolstered my determination to actually finish it. I'm not looking forward to the dragons in the back of the book. If any of you are familiar with the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That is going to take forever, but I'm determined not to cheat. And when I say cheat, I mean it like not just put like a watercolour wash over it and call it coloured. I'm actually going to colour it properly, but it's going to take a long time. Okay, back to standard practice here. So I am going to take this hot pink again, and I'm going to pop this in here and bring it up to these petals. For the first time as well, just very shortly, I am going to have to buy some replacement Polychromos pencils. I have not had to replace any pencils in my set up till now, but I have come dangerously close to wearing down my green gold. So, and there's a couple that are quite short as well that aren't quite done yet, so I'm going to order a few of those in the not too distant future at all. But that's taken ages. I've had those, I don't even know how long I've had my Polychromos pencils, but it's been a long time, and that's the first replacing I'm having to do, so that's quite nice. There we go, just blend all this out. Oh, this is looking so nice. Despite using such a vibrant colour in the Process Red, it's actually still left quite a delicate colour behind, which I think is just lovely. It's really, really nice. Okay, so we're going to go down here now, and I'm just going to repeat the process that I've done with this section here. So I'm going to go back to my purples for a little while, keep things interesting, and get that layer of the Parma Violet down. Really light hand, little circular motions where possible. It's not always possible in the tighter spaces. we'll get that down there. That is lovely. We have a really nice sunny day here today outside the cave window. We have had a very strange, unseasonably warm spell of weather last week, to the point where it was actually making me slightly uncomfortable, because we should not be having temperatures of 15 and 16 degrees Celsius in February. That is not normal, it is not right. And it's turned back colder again. It's gone back to kind of more what we would expect at this time of year, thankfully. I don't know why, that just really didn't sit well with me. It made me feel really uncomfortable. I'm just going to do this whole middle section, I think, seeing as we're here anyway, and we've got the purples out again. So it's been, what I would call classic Scottish weather. It's been really grey, a bit damp, a wee bit chilly. You know, you have to put a jacket on to go out. You can't just go and swan about in your jumper or your short sleeves, which last week when I was taking the dogs out for a walk, I was in a t-shirt. It was insane. So that's been all fine and well, but it has been very grey and very overcast, but the sun has come out today to greet us, which is really nice. There's some other parts of the country got battered by really bad winds from Storm Freya. We just didn't get it on this side. We were really lucky. It was very, very windy for a couple of hours during the night, but maybe sort of 60, 65 mile an hour winds, but it really didn't do anything. It just kind of blew itself out. So that's quite nice. But where we are, like our location, moving on to the violet again now. Our location is we sit in a glen, and what that does for us is it protects us in one direction. So if the weather's coming from a certain direction, we are very sort of cocooned and sheltered. If it comes from the direction that goes in a parallel motion to the glen, it turns it into a wind tunnel and it whistles right through and it batters the living daylights out of us. So you know, that can work either way, but it seems to be this year with the worst of the weather, whatever direction it's come from, we've been quite sort of sheltered from it, because we do find as well we're not far from a town, and it can have snowed in the town, and yet we haven't seen any of it out here. But by the same token, it works the other way as well. So this is going to be quite dark in here, I'm thinking. I might put a little bit of that down there too. And in here. This side's going to be lighter. This isn't going to be a complete mirror image. I've just realised I have made a massive mistake up here. And because my light source I decided wasn't coming from this direction, I decided it was coming from the middle. So that should really all be highlighted. And this part's correct, this part isn't correct. That's a problem. I hope you guys haven't been following along with this and done this too. This part's okay, that's still reasonably accurate. This part not so much. I may be able to lighten this up with an eraser and just flip it round a bit. I'm really sorry guys, I really hope that you see this in time and you don't mess it up. Or that maybe you've just got this on in a background and you're going to tackle it at a later stage. Okay, that's picking up quite well. Just using a Derwent electronic eraser. I'm sure you guys have seen all these before as well. Yeah, I can fix this. This is going to be alright. Okay, I'm just going to go back up here briefly. And I'm just going to take the dioxazine and I'm going to darken in that edge, because our light source is coming from the middle. So it's that back side that's going to be dark. Because I've got quite a lot of pencil down already, it's taking it quite well. Right, that's looking a bit better. We need to do the same here. Yeah, that's okay. Now in this section here, it's going to be this top edge. Down a bit, Jem, there we go. It's going to be this top edge that's dark. So I'm just going to put that dioxazine in there. And I'm lightening it up as it comes toward the centre of the picture. And then I'm just going to take the violet and start blending it out towards this bottom part where the name's actually going to go on the nameplate. And then I'll just tickle in a little bit of the Parma Violet there. See if we can't even it out. I think because the dioxazine's such a dark colour, that's just the thing that's rescued it and sorted it all out. So yeah, I think we've been lucky there. On this side, again, it's not too bad, so I'm just going to pop in the dioxazine there. But we're going to have to flip this completely round. Thankfully I didn't put too dark an edge on here, so that's easily fixable. Just let me blend out this dioxazine on this side as well. Okay, so I think I'll take my eraser to this outside edge here, just around here. Let's see if we can save it. And I'll take the violet first, put that up there. So I can keep this dark patch here, that's fine, that's not too far out, but it's this side here that needs to be darker. I'll take my Parma Violet and just blend that out a little bit there. There we go, that's not too bad. Crisis averted. I'm really sorry about that, guys, if you're following along. I don't mean to confuse you, but I confuse myself. Right, okay, so what's going to happen then if we come back to this now? This part's okay. Down here is going to be quite dark, so I'm going to go back to the violet and I'm just going to cover, a bit like we did over on the right hand side here, at the, you know, the part we started at. And I'm just going to pop this in. And I'm going to keep that quite dark, and I'll just do this side while I'm here as well. And then we can start working in that dioxazine to really darken it down in this bottom part here. So this is going to be quite dark. So I'm kind of using a medium pressure here. And I'm just going to go for all these sort of underside parts. That's going to be dark too, because that'll be casting a shadow from the petal. Ah, I said petal, not leaf. And the same here as well, so I'll get that down. And then just go back in with the violet over the top of what I've done with the dioxazine, but then blend it out into the other area. Like so. God, that looks okay. To this side as well. I've just realised that we're not going to get to the painting again today. This is the second video I said we're going to do some painting and we haven't. Time management. Lacking in time management skills clearly when it comes to colouring. Okay, so I'm still sticking with the violet here, and I'm going to start working in some of these darker areas and just sort of building out. I'm not going to use the dioxazine on this top part because it is right next to where I said my light source was coming from, so we're omitting that darkest shade here, and I'm just going to work between this and the Parma Violet because it's going to be you know, getting the full force of the light source. Hey, that rhymes. So we'll pop this in and just make this a little bit more vibrant. There we go. And the same with this part here as well, because it's going to see a lot of light too, so I'm just going to put a little bit. Oh dang it, that's the wrong pencil, it's the dioxazine. Picked that up by accident. That was meant to be the violet. It's not my day today, I don't think. Maybe I shouldn't have done any colouring today. So we'll just pop that in there, and then on this bottom edge here. And then we can start filling some of this in. I'm also leaving that little sort of white rim. Put some violet under here. Again, that'll be casting a shadow, I would imagine. Leaving that little white rim, bearing in mind that the surrounding area is going to be a bit darker. So I kind of wanted just to let that stand out a wee bit. Give it a bit more sort of contrast. And make our picture stand out more. To this little tail up here as well. There we go. I just want to make this bit a tiny bit darker. make it more gradual from the dark, you know, the very dark part underneath. I want to make it look, you know, two-tone. Okay, I'm not gonna cover these petals here because I'm gonna do these in the same fashion that I've done up here, and I'm just kind of repeating myself. So what I want to do is go down to this bottom part now, and we're going to do this gemstone here. Now I'm going to use the pinks that I used for the flowers up the top, and it's to balance the picture out. If I just zoom out to show you, so that we'll have a little bit of pink top, middle and bottom, and for the aesthetics of a picture that works really well, and it makes it quite pleasing to the eye. Because it's quite balanced, because this is a symmetrical picture, so I feel it's important to keep the colours balanced. Now you're quite far away from a light source, and this is a faceted gem. There isn't really any right or wrong way to do it. If you wanted to get into the mechanics of what light was hitting what part, you could be there for some time. We are not going to do that. What we are going to do is add in a pencil to our 3 colours that we already have, and that is the normal pink colour, and that is PC929. So I have 4 shades of pencil to work with. And what I am going to do is I'm going to start with the lightest colour, which is the Deco Pink. And I'm just going to pick out some of the facets nearest the top of the gem, because it's the part of the gem that's closest to the light source. So I'm just going to pick out a couple here and use this lightest colour and really just fill it in and block colour it, to be honest. We can go back in with a gel pen and add some highlights and things at the end, which is kind of my plan. And so I'm just selecting these at random. I'm not really making a big job of what parts are getting coloured where. So that is the Deco Pink, and then I'm going to go to the next colour down, which is the normal pink, and I'm just going to start filling in sort of alternate sections. If you do this at random, it tends to look better than if you do it in a pattern. That might sound silly, but I've tried this a couple of times on various things, and when you try and do it in a pattern, it just ends up looking really uniform and it looks a bit strange, to be honest. So it's kind of better just to sort of pick stuff out. So I'm just going over the halfway line with that and no more. Let's do this one. Yeah, okay. And next colour down is the hot pink. Now I don't want the hot pink too much in the top part there, so I'm just going to colour that one section there, and then I'm going to move further down, so like down here, and then I'm going to pick out this one here, and this one here. And then I'm going to take the darkest one, which is the Process Red, and start at the bottom, because most of the darker facets would be on this bottom part because it's furthest away from light source. You do get bounce light, and especially in cut gems that are faceted, but that's not really something I want to go into right now. My brain's not capable of handling that right now. You know, trying to explain myself. There are, I can't remember, I think it might have been Peter Hewitt, don't quote me on that, but I'm sure Peter did a video on how to colour in faceted gems. I know a lot of people have done videos, but that's just one that springs to mind. And oh, what's her name? This is awful. I can't remember the girl's name, but her YouTube channel is Vitruvian Art, and all she does is colour gemstones, and she has some very good tutorials if you want to go and look stuff like that up. Oh, what is her? Oh, Rose Rambo, that's her. Her name's Rose Rambo. So you can go and check her out as well, because her gemstone artwork is pretty incredible. And say she's quite good at explaining things in a nice pace as well, so you don't get all sort of flustered. Okay, so because of bounce light, there are going to be some lighter facets down here. So I'm only going to do one in the Deco Pink, I think, and I'll go back to the normal pink and just fill these other ones in here. And I'll maybe have one here with the Process Red. So it's up to you how you want to handle this, but as I say, I just tend to sort of, I tend to go at random. It seems to turn out better when I do, you know, I don't give it too much thought. Yeah, let's put this pink in here. There we go. It's kind of rough looking, got a lot of white spaces in there. Sort this out a little bit, tidy it up a bit. Been a bit sort of haphazard here. It's quite unusual for me. Alright then, so we can go back to using our purples just to fill in this sort of surround here. So again, now that we've established that I made a mistake with the light source, we know that the light source is coming straight down, so our Parma Violet is going to be most prominent on the top edge of each of these sections of this sort of intricate, I don't know what you want to call it, I kind of want to say scroll work. It's not scroll work, but that's like the closest definition I can think of. I'm sure there's a name for it, and if anybody wants to tell me in the comments, that's absolutely grand. That would be good, because I don't know what you would call it. I kind of like knowing the names for things though. I like to use the you know, the proper names for anything as and when I can. It just comes from wanting to learn things. I like words, the words are good. I have learned quite a lot of terminology for things just from writing short stories. I wrote a weird Western story, and that's, you know, it's kind of like well, it's a Wild West story, but with a sort of slightly fantastical twist to it. You know, there's kind of like, not magical elements in it, but things are not quite as they seem. And I knew nothing about the Wild West, so I had to learn some stuff. But it was really interesting. I found it really, really interesting. And you know, there was things like I had to be very careful about the things that people were eating and drinking, because I didn't know if it was widely available at that time, so I had to look up all that kind of stuff. And you know, like what people drank in the saloons, you know, they're not going to be sitting with a Jack Daniels and Pepsi Max. So I did quite a lot of research on that, and for a short story I probably got a bit carried away, to be honest, but it paid off because it was one of the short stories that I had published, so that was quite nice. I reaped the rewards for that. But basically the story centres around this town in the Wild West where people have the date that they die on their arm. They're born with it, it's almost like a birthmark. And so they know from the get-go that how many days they have to live, or their parents know when they're babies how long they've got to live. And there is a medicine man in the town, and the medicine man cannot cure people to stop them dying. If they get sick or they get injured round their, what they call their dead date, then you know that's them kind of thing. He can't do anything. But he treats people who get injured and get illnesses very early on, so that they can have a quality of life for the time that they've got. And that this story centres around the medicine man himself reaching his dead day and what's going to happen in the town. So it was kind of complicated and it took me a long time to write it, and as I say, it's just a short story, but it turned out quite well. I was quite pleased with it in the end up. Okay, I'm just going to go in with the dioxazine and put a few low lights in here. And I did switch. I actually wrote the entire story in you know, in a Western dialect, and I found that it was too much and it was really difficult to concentrate on it and read it. So I ended up writing the narrative in, you know, normal author English, and just kept the dialogue in the accent. So there was a lot of apostrophes put in, because the you know, they tend to sort of skip consonants out. So words like old, they don't say old, it was O-L-E, or just O-L apostrophe. So there was a lot of that. There was a considerable amount of work went into that short story, but as I say, I'm really proud of it. And yeah, I actually quite like, I have another character who was just written as a character. I didn't do anything with him in terms of a story, but I think he might kind of fit into that sort of world, so I may do something with him and write another short story and join them together or something. I don't know. Right, go down to this section here now, and we can put in, I'm just trying to figure out, oh, violet. Put the violet in first. Pop that up there, and maybe a wee bit around there. So quite often I find with writing, I don't find it with drawing strangely enough, but with writing, quite often I have a character and I know how I want that character to be and I know a lot about them, but I just don't have anywhere to put them. You know, I don't have a world or a storyline for them to fit into. So I have this book, a bit like my swatch book for art. I have this book full of characters with no place to go, and every now and then I will pluck one out if I'm writing a story and see if they fit in. But it was very much a case of the character came first. The medicine man character came first, and I was like, this guy deserves a story because he's quite you know, he's quite unusual, and I really like him as a character. He's one of my my better creations. He's just basically a grumpy old man. But yeah, I really persevered, because at one point I was ready for giving up on it because I couldn't seem to get it to come together and I was getting a bit frustrated, but I'm glad I sort of persevered. Right, so these parts, it's going to be the bottom part. I'm just going to go in with the dioxazine and stick this in first, seeing as I've got it in my hand already. I would love to get to the stage where my artwork was good enough for me to draw my characters that are in my stories, because obviously in my head I know what they look like and all the rest of it, but I don't think I'm advanced enough yet to be able to translate that onto paper and for it to turn out the way that I would like. So that's like a life goal for my art, is to get to the stage where I can translate these characters out of my head onto paper and they turn out the way that they look in my head. I think that's a pretty good goal to work towards. I'm going to make these quite dark down here because they're kind of tucked in. Using this Parma Violet, I can feel the core of this pencil wobbling as I'm using it. I think I may have a broken part, so the tip may fall out at any point, but let's live dangerously. I'm just going to pop a line of dioxazine down here as well. There we go. And pop a bit of the violet here. And here. Okay guys, that is all we've got time for today. It's gone really quickly today. We'll zoom out and let's have a look and see how we are coming along. I'll move all the pencils out of the way. There we go. So we're starting to get a bit of colour in the other areas of the picture now. I'm going to say from this point that we're not even going to get to the painting next time. What I'll do next time is we can finish off a few of these flowers, and we'll maybe jump about, maybe I will do a bit of painting and let it dry, and we can jump about and finish the flowers, and we'll try and get this sort of right hand side of the picture complete, and that way you'll start to get a sense of what it's going to look like when it's finished. Anyway guys, this has perked me up a little bit, so I want to thank you very much for joining me. I always appreciate it, and as always I look forward to your comments as well, even if it's just chit chat comments, or if you want to talk about you know, something in the picture that we're doing, that would be grand as well. And we shall see you soon back in the cave for more fun, and we will play with more art stuff. See you next time guys, bye for now. If you're looking for some more chattiness, you can check out some more similar videos here. Smash that button if you haven't subscribed and you want to see more again. And here are my social media links too if you want to go and look at my other artwork or get in contact with me.